Hi guys, it's Sandy with Crafty Stamp Co. and I have one final project made with the March 2026 Crafty Crew Kit. This has been such a fun kit to play with. I have just thoroughly enjoyed the pet theme. There's only one more day to order it. Pre-orders stop on February 22nd. It is scheduled to ship on March 5th though. All right, this card was created with the stamp set from the kit called Pets Are Family. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started with our little goldfish. My lightest color is going to be YR31, and then I will move into YR12 as my mid-range, and my darkest color is YR15. When I color, I prefer to get my whole image colored with my lightest color and then blend up from that color. Moving on to my little bird, I am keeping him very light. So his lightest color is Y00, Y11 is the mid color, and Y13 is my darkest color. And I will go back in there with an orange marker and just kind of give him a little bit of an orange beak. For my hamster, I wanted him or her or it to be lighter fur in the center of his little belly and chest and the center of his face. So I'm going to start with YR30. And then the darker areas of his fur, we're going to use, or I'm going to use E31, E34, and E99. I will add a little bit of pink to the inside of that little ear and to his little nose. All right, the little chinchilla is going to be very light colored. And I'm going to be using Y00, Y0, Y1, and Y3. Again, no crazy coloring, keeping his belly and the center of his face lightest. And then the inside of his ears, I'll use a little bit of R11 just to pinken them up a bit. Okay, onto the turtle, and he's my favorite one. I think he's just adorable. I'm going to start with his shell, and on the outside edges of the shell and in between those larger shell pieces, I'm not a biologist. I'm going to do brownish colors. It's the same colors that I used for the hamster, so I'm using a YR30, E31, E34, and E99 to color in those areas. Now for the turtle body and part of his shell, I didn't have a light enough green or a green that I liked that would be a real nice light color highlight. So I went ahead and just did tip to tip, and I'm using my YR30 and touching my YG61 just to get that lighter greenish color shade that I'm looking for the highlights on his little face. Once I get those placed in, then I will go back to just my solid YG61, the G82, YG63, and YG67 to color in the rest of the turtle. I just loved coloring him. I thought he had a lot of fun little areas to just to color. I think he's got so much personality. I love him. I added just a touch of pink to his little cheek. That's probably R11. And then for the little ladybug that's on his back, I used R14 and R27 to color in those red areas, and then I just used one of my warmer grays to color in the little spots on the ladybug. No crazy coloring because those are very, very small spots. And that pretty much does it for the coloring of these little pets. Let's start putting this little guide together. I'm going to start with a piece of pattern paper. It's one of the neutral colors, and I'm going to cut that to 2¼ inches by 4 inches. And then I'm just going to take some gathered twig Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to dust up those edges. I just wanted to soften that up. I think that just it's such a little touch, but it adds so much to a card. So I'm going to go ahead and hit those edges all the way around. Now I'm going to glue that lighter colored piece of paper to a piece of the orange pattern paper. It's the solid color. And I've got that cut at 2½ by 4 inches. Next, I'm going to glue my little friends to that light brown piece of cardstock or pattern paper. I don't want them all the way down at the bottom, and I don't want them centered. I want to make sure that they're kind of spaced nicely on both the right and left side, and that I have room for the little fish once I get everything lined up. So I'm going to start with my center piece, and then I'll add on my two pieces on the outside. All right, I want to get that band piece adhered to the argyle background. I'm going to be using a quilting ruler because, well, I've been using them for years, and to me they're just so easy to use. I am measuring up 1½ inches from that bottom of the argyle cardstock, and then I am just going to place that little piece 1½ inch up, lining up those two edges on the side. I guess I should also mention that the argyle piece is cut to 4 by 5¼ because I'm going to be layering that on some cardstock. Keeping with the same color theme, I've stamped out my sentiment. It's included with the stamp set on a piece of that lighter brown pattern paper, and I'm going to adhere it on top of a piece of paper, piece of the orange paper. To add a little bit of texture to my card, I'm going to take some off-white white twine and just wrap it around that bottom and tie a cute little bow on the left-hand side, and then just put a spot of glue at the bottom of that, or on it, I mean. Next, I'm going to add 2 thin strips of foam tape at the top and the bottom of that little sentiment tab. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on those tape pieces, and then I'm going to straddle that over my twine pieces at the bottom of my card. I like to do it that way my sentiment isn't rocky or glued in some weird spots. I don't usually use double-sided tape to put my inner card on my card front. I decided I would this time because I don't want my twine moving around as I'm gluing it. So I've got double-sided tape on all 4 edges of my card, and then I also have a piece of tape in the center of my card. I'll go ahead and remove the tape completely from the center piece in my card, and then on the outside edges, I just peel them back a little bit just to loosen them up and kind of fold them so I can get them out of the way, but they're still not completely adhered. I'll lay that front piece on top of my cardstock, press it down in the center once I have it lined up where I want it, and then I go back to the outside edges and I peel off the protective tape. It's quite a process, but to me it's the easiest way of getting that lined up so that that card is nice and centered and isn't going to move around. All I have left to do on this card is just add a little bit of bling to that center strip and that upper left-hand corner of the card and glue it to a card base, and I am done with it. Okay, just a quick recap. The pre-order window ends on February 22nd. It's got a shipping date of March 5th, 2026. Non-subscription cost is $54.99. It includes a 15% discount off the retail prices. It includes shipping. Subscribers, which is a bi-monthly subscription, gets a 35% discount off of retail prices. It does include shipping. You also get the special embellishment and a 10% discount code for a non-subscription order, and that one is $45.99. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending a little bit of time with me today. I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.